But we'll see what else they draft for themselves. PentAce do have the third pickup, but only 36 seconds of reserve time as they still have that penalty for being late in the first game. Of course, Moo was asking for the penalty to be removed there, but you know, no mercy in the BTS Pro Series Season 5, John. Sticking to the rules here.
Absolutely. We'll have to see what they do counteract. With the Beastmaster on hand, now you have to look for safe laners that don't care too much about the Boros or the Wild Axis. And we have seen Beastmasters really take control with either build. They go the Ursa in this case for PentAce, so that should be a solid enough way to kind of manage that. You can try clearing out the Boros with your jump in. You can kind of trade with a Beastmaster fairly nicely as well if you've got the space to. So it's a solid pickup for PentAce. And of course, it does have some quick timings as well. Battle Fury, you can just go for a Basher maybe or a fast BKB after the blink. And you can start running around, forcing fights onto the Alchemist and trying to hold him back. So a good start already for both drafts. We'll have to see what the cut wants to bring in to addition. With that Alchemist, it's still open whether or not it's mid or safe. But they've set themselves up for a better game too, just with this kind of opening. Game 1 was just very experimental with the IO, with a Bloodseeker, and just didn't pan out. So I am liking this opening a bit more here for the cut. I think it's something they can play around a little bit better. They just need to tie it in. Look for their pause 5 here. A few options are in the table. Witch Doctor's there if they want it. The Nyx has been left... No, the Nyx has been banned, so no option for that. But Witch Doctor's there. Undying, we've seen be pretty potent as well if you want to have a way of team fighting fast. Only the Keeper of Light's there to take out the Tombstone on a high spot. So there's a lot of value in, say, an Undying pick here, and can be annoying against Ursa. He does depend on being fairly tanky up front. You take away strength, he becomes a bit squishier, but it's the Witch Doctor for the cut. So it does come out, and we have seen the cut run this a lot. It's one of their priority supports. You have good healing now. For the cut, you can keep your wave alive and try to push fast with a Witch Doctor Beastmaster.
Okay. PentAce, fourth pickup for them. Seems like we need a few more calls to come out here. Unless it's going to be like a mid-tiny, which is likely, but we'll wait and see. PentAce will go for the Tide pickup. So once again, snaking on that offlane Tide. And it's just going to be a matter of whether we are running a position 4 tiny, whether we're running a mid-tiny. It is kind of open right now. So they do have that flexibility. We are going to have to wait for the last ban stage till we see what they are going to bring out. What would you prefer though, John? Do you think the support tiny works here, or would you rather just see it go in the mid lane and try and dominate that way?
I kind of like it on support in this case. I think you've got a lot of utility you can bring out. The stun's going to be good. You can help your Tide Hunter try to overtake that lane. You don't need to worry about hitting too many timings. I think you can just kind of be a carrier of the Tide. You have the Toss Ravage now available if you want to play that way. So there's no rush for the blink on the Tide. It is much faster to get burst damage on a core tiny, but I think the strength for PentAce's lineup here is that flexibility mid. Because right now, Lil Nick doesn't have a clear hero. I mean, he could play the Alk if he wanted to, but again, that's more than likely our Scourge McDuck hero. And they are just constantly banning these mid pickups for PentAce. So it looks like they do know the cut will probably just run that safe. And they can look to have something more domineering mid to get that done. We still have to see, though, as the cut are also banning out mid. So they take out the Storm, waiting for the last ban out here. You do have the option for Ember on the line for PentAce, and I worry about the cut if they don't ban that. Ember Coddle, we've seen that be very impactful. You don't have the best hold for an Ember outside of Roar, so you will have to expend it on the Ember, but sometimes not ideal because you want to keep the Ursa locked in. You might want to keep that Tide Hunter locked in before he ravages. So it makes it hard for the cut to prioritize who to jump on first in these bigger fights if something slippery like the Ember slides through.
Last ban out the cut. They got rid of the Storm. They'll get rid of the Leshrac. PentAce, how do you want to finish this draft? Does feel like you want something quite lame dominant up against the Alk, maybe a natural spirit vessel carrier as well. No, they're going to go for the AA. So they are going to run the mid-tiny. Position 5 AA it should be. And position 4 Coddle is what I believe. Unless they're going to run mid AA, which It's been a very long time since I've had the pleasure of seeing core AA in the mid lane. It can work in the right hands, but I doubt it's going to be the case this game. Let's wait and see if Ryoya wants to bring out something special. The cut, they're going to go back to the Bat Rider now, interestingly enough. And that might mean a mid Bat Rider for Lil Nick. Which, after the nerfs, seems kinda, you know, bit meh. Maybe up against the Tiny, though, like the matchup still suits the Bat Rider a lot, right? You can be really annoying towards his Tiny, slow his turn rate, spam sticky napalm, and once you hit level 2 or 3, you can get very aggressive with the Firefly. Problem is, after that laning stage, what do? Because you don't really have that farm escalation tool anymore with the Firefly. Not until much later on. And I do get a little bit afraid that the Bat Rider is going to drop off a bit, and Scourge McDuck may not quite have as much space as he would like.
I think the Bat Rider is pretty good just because of that mid matchup, as you mentioned. Tiny against Bat Rider is not great for Tiny, although he can still wave clear, and because of that nerf to Bat Rider, it's not going to be as easy for him to actually take control of his own creep wave relative to Tiny. So Lil Nick will have to watch out for that. The issue of scaling, I think the Bat Rider is still fine for scaling. The issue, what's his biggest problem is farming. So he can still hit his level spikes. Lasso is still highly effective, although up against an Ursa, probably not the best, especially if he gets the Enrage off first. So we'll have to see how Lil Nick does approach this game. He needs to prevent Ryoya from hitting those blink timings. We've seen some Tinies go sub 7-minute blink, and they just run around a map, find those pickoffs. The cut needs to play this one quick, like the way PentAce did last time. They need to look for those mid towers, look for those tier 1s, and try to play the objective game early while they have this Beastmaster up, and try to buy time for Scourge McDuck to win out. In fact, I thought for some reason Scourge McDuck has a shared tango. They're probably just setting up for Scourge to have a slower lane. Level 1 for Alchemist is not the most pleasant, so starts out with a little extra regen here.
He's still hanging around that mid lane. What's the game plan here? They've got 3 heroes in that mid lane. Of course, PentAce are just hanging around their triangle, not too concerned about what the cut are doing. Perhaps they just really want to make sure they get these early bounty runes, but of course you don't have the Grievil's Greed at level 1 for Scourge McDuck. You do generally always go for the Acid Spray. By the way, I believe, just in case anyone cares, the forfeit from Black and Yellow for our next series means that Infinity do get an automatic 2-0, which I'll update after this game. Just FYI for anyone that does want to keep track of the scores.
Those who bear witness will not soon
And still no excitement here. Just going to go for the straightforward 2-for-2 bounty rune trade. You do have Mu already positioning himself forward, trying to check who comes up top. And it is going to be that early start tri-lane, as you tend to see. Just trying to get maximum value for the aggression. But Mu will just TP the moment he doesn't see anyone up. So a slower start for the cut as they have to walk Scourge McDuck up. They do TP in Pingu first. He's going to be there to at least handle that first wave. But PentAce, they've got this nice lane to deal with. Snaking on the Tide should be able to slow down Scourge McDuck a bit. He can't come in for the last hits. He will have to play with Acid Spray. And you can still find good farm with just the Acid Spray, but you don't really want to put your body for it. There's a lot of damage, a lot of slows on hand once you have Gush and Cold Feet, along with the Chilling Touch and Ice Vortex up on Z-Freak. You have to be cautious, and Z-Freak just goes for that safe pull, get themselves some steady EXP, and get their level spikes up and running up top.
Well, now I can actually see why the Arc was hanging around in the mid lane, John, and that's purely because Scourge McDuck didn't want to go up against the Ursa in lane, because that would have been much harder than the Tide would have been. Still, of course, snaking is going to make it very difficult, but I can sort of understand now why Scourge even bothered hanging around that mid and wasting a bit of time. Already has had 2 creeps denied away from him from snaking, though, which is going to be a little bit frustrating on that first wave. Well, Z-Freak on the AA can be plenty annoying as well, with that Chilling Touch, which does do a hell of a lot of damage. Moving into that mid lane, though, Lil Nick is going to be up against Ryoya. As you can see, Ryoya already losing quite a bit of HP on that Tiny. This is to be expected. Sticky Napalm is going to give the inadvertent advantage to the Tiny. Excuse me, to the Batrider, and I'm sure Ryoya is going to go through quite a bit of regen here to try and sustain himself in this laning phase.
Yeah, he already has the wand ready to go though, so he's got some value in terms of burst heal and burst mana sustain coming through. He's still finding some last hits on the Tiny. Maybe once the levels come out for little Nick, he can start to zone out Ryoya a bit more, but doesn't seem like he minds too much. The wave will just naturally shove in. He can still get his farm up. He's got some safe range with a tree grab, so he can actually still close the gap without worrying too much about a sneaky Firefly play, at least early on. Maybe once the boots are up, that story changes. Still gives us time to look at the side lanes. You do have the bot lane, the last lane we haven't talked about. You've got the Ursa played by Fear, Moo on that Keeper of the Light. They are laning up against Tingle King on his Beastmaster and Vol on the Mirana. And you can see our Ursa's actually not struggling too much. It's just one of those lanes where the Beastmaster doesn't necessarily get as much as possible with his summons, mainly because Moo is there to play with the Illuminate. So they can secure the range creep, and they can kill off the boars as well. And you can still go for the straight arrow on the range creep as well on the Radiant side. But it does look like, for now, Vault's just focused on trying to build some stacks up and trying to get his own EXP in the jungle.
Of course. Moo's going to be very annoying here for Tingle, though. At least he does duke out that Illuminate, but you can't really abuse the balls in this lane. Which means that this Ursa is going to have a very nice time. Fear already top of the CS board, only just followed by his own Tide. Even Fear making sure he gets those balls. Arrow's going to fly through from Vol, but is not going to connect. And one thing you can't really forget either, John, is those balls from the Beastmaster do give quite a bit of XP away. So you definitely don't want to feed them the way of PentAce, but up against the Cuddle Ursa, it does feel like you don't really have much of a choice anyway.
There's just not much Tingle King can do. Might have been to his benefit if he actually just went for the Wild Axis build we sometimes see, but it does cost him now. Down mid though, Scuffle.
Yeah, Lil Nick taking a lot of damage, and Z-Freak does go in with the Cold Feet, but the arrow not going to connect. Ryoya still running through the Firefly, does need to back off. Lil Nick does still get what he came for, which was the haste rune. It's a lot of damage though. Even top lane, Scourge McDuck ends up falling quite low himself on the Alchemist. Just no lane going the way that the cut would like it to, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, the farm is really slow here for Scourge McDuck. Only has 12 last hits, and it's that issue of being immediately up against Tide. The Witch Doctor can try to punish. You do have the Cask Up. You don't have Maledict, though, so you can't really zone Snake King out. And for the most part, he doesn't care about being solo. So he gets all the EXP he wants. Z-Freak's happy enough to give that away, and now
Scourge is dead. Yeah, the heal's there by Pingu, but it's not going to be enough. Cold Feet comes in, or maybe it is. The Coconut does fly through. Scourge will survive, but mid lane, Lil Nick is the one that actually goes down first. First blood to Ryoya. That's going to help him escalate to his phase boots into the blink now. It's definitely a nice bit of bonus gold to get after having such a difficult laning stage.
Yeah, and that's not good news for the cut. They expected this Tiny versus Batrider lane to go a bit better. Now you've got level 6 in Ryoya, whereas you're still 5 and a half here for Lil Nick. So there's some catch-up that Lil Nick needs to get done. And you have to remember, if you have a bad laning phase in the Batrider, sure, you can still jungle. It's a lot slower clearing out those creeps, and that can affect your timings here.
Jeez, Tingle's so low on HP. Trying to run away is Lil Nick again. Avalanche toss there from Ryoya. Lil Nick going to be able to run away with the Firefly, but this is really not what he wants. As the Batrider, you need to dominate the lane. Z-Freak just going to continue chasing him down. Lil Nick, he does have Lasso, but he may just have to commit here on Z-Freak. We'll see.
Oh, unlucky.
Ball, meanwhile, is going to go down and Fear down at the bot lane, trying to hide in the tree line, and eventually Fear does find him. A bit of tier 1 tower pressure there down at the bot lane, but Fear, he won't hit it. He wants to go back and hit some creeps.
Oh, it's Scourge McDuck.
Uh-oh. Ryoya doesn't even look at the Alchemist while he's midair, just walks right away. Lil Nick, he does have the lasso, so this should mean a kill here onto Ryoya. He may not even need it, in fact. They do get the kill. So at least they do trade, but it's pretty tough seeing your Alchemist die like that, though.
Yeah, it's a slow start for the cut once more. Scourge McDuck just not having any safe lane to go back to. They will have to clear out these stacks soon as well, because that was scouted out by Ryoya. So he was under the ward. They do get the punishment, but PentAce knows that they need to move into the jungle soon. Ryoya's at that point in the Tiny where he can just be aggressive now as well. So you're finding everything for PentAce. Fear gets a free lane down bot. Not much the Beastmaster has done to slow him down. Level 6 now on the Ursa, whereas Tingle King is still level 1. You have a clump up top as well, Ryoya, along with Snaking, looking to make a move, and Scourge is just not safe here.
No, he's not. Avalanche toss again, Ryoya. Losing so much HP. Pingu. Try and run. Ryoya gonna ignore him for now as he didn't have the Avalanche toss combo ready. Try to loop around and catch Scourge McDuck with his pants down. He might actually find him as well.
Scourge?
Reading the movement of Scourge McDuck. And you can really see the urgency here from the Alchemist, John. He's trying to find a place to farm. But it does end up costing him his life, trying to be efficient. And now all the stacks.
Oh, these stacks.
Oh, that is so much gold going to be taken away.
Oh, man.
I wouldn't even blame Scourge for leaving the game after that. After these stacks are taken, I would be so done.
Oh, yeah, and look at this. Moose just, it's so efficient. You've got a Coddle. You're getting your tier 1 items. And someone say loads of money, because that is loads of money coming out for Ryoya. They are coming into contest, and Scourge is getting at least one camp with a couple of stacks, so they do still get something, but...
Yeah, he gets like 50 gold, but he might cost him his life. He's trying to run now. Pingu gonna go down. Ravage does connect on the Alch. Illuminate does fly through. They know the Alchemist is there, but they could not get in range for the toss back. And a 5-1 now, and a 3k net worth lead to PentAce, which is something you never want to see when you have an Alchemist on your team. Scourge, he's going to go to the triangle, but it's so early for an Alchemist to farm triangle, John. He hasn't even got one component of the Battle Fury, apart from the Quelling Blade, but I wouldn't even count that.
No. It's not enough for the Alch to sustain. Lil Nick is also trying to clear out these Ancients, but this is going to be slow going, even with 7 stacks, 8 stacks. Not going to be as quick. It still melts. So you are getting that catch-up form on your Bat Rider, but look at the constant pressure mid. They're just not leaving this jungle.
Yeah, Pingu trying to get a D-ward off will give his life away for it. But PentAce will happily take the kill, and they'll D-ward the sentries now. Meanwhile, Scourge, he can't farm the triangle because that's preoccupied by Lil Nick, so he has to farm a bit more dangerously. While we're talking about this, Fear does actually die down at the bot lane. It's like a raw into arrow was committed by the cut, so they do at least get the Ursa, which is definitely going to be a very nice feeling here for the cut. We'll see if that does help their odds out a little bit in this game number 2.
Nick.
Avalanche, toss, not going to quite be on target. Lil Nick's still going. This is very, very dangerous. He gets the lasso, but the Illuminate's going to fly through, and he's not going to get the kill.
Huh? That was optimistic. He knew the supports were around the area. They were just staying around that ramp by the mid-tier 1. Goes a bit too forward, gets picked off, and he is the highest net worth hero on the side of the cut right now. So it's a good chunk of gold going the way of PentAce. Their lead still maintaining a 3k. They have bought some space out for Scourge McDuck to farm. At the least here, the one silver lining for the cut is that Fear has sort of slowed down. But that's mainly because he's farming laning creeps, not heroes, compared to the rest of his team. They do get pressure in that mid-tier 1. They have to come for the defense.
But they do. Lane break there. Ryoya going to be stunned up. Vol in with the Starfall. Lil Nick still trying to chase. The Melodict is there on Ryoya, and he will pop to it. Snaking, meanwhile, has Ravage in 1 second. He's not going to need to pop it. Ice Blast. Not going to land either by Z-Freak. They do lose the Tiny, and the cut should be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, they just overextend a bit. Really good cask bounces as well from Pingu. So they get a really important kill on the side of the cut, staying in the game. 2k lead now, drops down just a bit. They might find one more.
Yeah, another raw arrow combo out from the Beastmaster. Does mean they kill off the Coddle. You know, even though they're committing the raw every single time, I think it's well worth it to just get a kill whenever you can right now for the cut. you may as well just commit it. But the only problem is, PentAce, when they see this, they start pushing in the mid-tier 1. And they are going to be able to secure this for free. Meanwhile, top lane, Lil Nick is trying to kill off Fear, but Fear is just walking away as Lil Nick doesn't have Lasso up. He doesn't have Firefly up either on Lil Nick, and now Fear's going to turn right back around. He's going to get the kill. Sticky Napalm. There, Lil Nick. Not going to land. Ice Blast not there, and the Lasso. Ooh. He gets it in time.
Really good pickup for Lil Nick. Fear playing on the edge. That does put him behind the Alk now, so that's some good news there for the cut as the lead drops down to just 1k. So Alchemist starting to come online. Your Beastmaster's getting some good progression as well. Necronomicon 2 up. And overall, the aggression is a bit back and forth, although they find more.
Yeah, Ryoya goes down. Oh, excuse me, Ryoya gets the kill on Pingu. Pingu goes down. And of course, they're right back into the triangle to annoy Scourge McDuck, who is going to be forced out again. Moonlight Shadow's going to be popped though. The cut, they know exactly where they are, so they're going to try and rotate in and set up a kill attempt here. Moo actually places a sentry within the ancient camp so it won't respawn, and Tingle is going to get a roar off straight onto that Tiny, and this time Ryoya is actually going to die. Now onto Z-Freak they go, but the AA still tanking this. The Ravage does come out. They'll get Tingle King down. Lil Nick, meanwhile, does secure the kill onto Z-Freak, but Snake King is still chasing on the Tide. Death Ward now being committed. Melodict has worn off, however, and Moo is going to be able to protect with the Blinding Light of Snake King. Wants to turn back around now with Moo and see if they can kill anyone else off.
Oh, the delivery.
Fear is here with the recall, and Pingu is going to die. Snake King still being chased down. Unstable Concoction is there from Scourge McDuck, but it won't do enough damage, and Fear is going to continue the chase onto Vol. He'll get a double kill on the Ursa. Even the Ice Blast just flying through in case. Not going to land on anyone though.
Ooh, it's a bit of a back and forth. You're just happy that you don't lose out on Scourge McDuck. He gets to keep farming up. They find a couple important kill-offs. Never mind.
Oh, Ryoya doesn't quite kill him. They did have the Spirit Vessel on Snake King, but Snake King with the, or rather the Alk with the Chemical Rage is able to purge that off.
Oh, Z-Freak. Oh, Lil Nick got greedy. Trying to go on Z-Freak, but gets taken out instead. And they're just keeping the aggression. They're trying to go for the bot tier 1, but Snake King's still around here.
There's a recall coming in for Ryoya as well. Vol got up. Avalanche connects. The toss up onto Tingle instead. They want the position 3 Beastmaster. They're going to be able to get him. Of course, Vol does kind of reveal himself now by landing that arrow onto Fear, but Enrage was there in time, and Vol is also going to die. Looks like Fear is going to be just fine to get himself out. The cart 4k behind. Still trying to buy more space for Scourge McDuck. Who's slowly but surely getting there. I believe his Battle Fury is now on the courier, but we're talking 15 minutes in. Hell, Fear pretty much has his.
Yeah, he's matching the Ursa, so at the least it started to build up, but the smoke play here...
Oh, Ryoya. Just leave the man alone for a bit. Ice Blast's going to fly through. Scourge is not going to survive through it. Tingle could not help out, even with the Roar committed. Back off again. They see the Alk dead. They are happy.
Yeah, that's all they need to do. You don't need to worry too much about the Bat Rider, although Lil Nick is saving up for a fast BKB, so he should be more successful with his engagements once that's up. Probably looking for that blink next. Have to say, something strange on Snake King. He went for an early Vanguard in lane, I think, and he was queuing up the Hood of Defiance. Then he ended up selling the Vanguard just to get the HOD, so I'm not sure why he went for the Vanguard first. Probably just wanting to secure some safe farm, but does diverge. Doesn't matter as they have Ravage.
It's good. Done. Ravage. Ice Blast to fly through. With the Spirit Vessel, he cannot survive. Pingu, Death Ward there with the Melodic on Snake King, but he's just so tanky. He's not going to die to it. Lil Nick is going to try to chase down Z-Freak, but now he's going to be chased down by an angry Watermetal. Now Ryoya in with the Avalanche toss as well. Going to make sure they get the kill. By the way, John, back to your statement earlier. Remind me, can you disassemble Vanguard? Because he could turn the components into Hood of Defiance and Spirit Vessel.
I think he should be able to. I'm gonna have to double check because it's been a while, but I think he should be able to. Yeah, that does make a bit more sense. And that's just value. Snaking just getting a lot of value early on. He gets a farm fast with Vanguard. Now he's protected. Spirit Vessel's doing a lot of work for them as well right now. And
it's very clever.
Yeah, it is very clever. You rarely see that, but efficiency plays out. And that's what separates these teams. You know, they play on the edge. They play efficiently. They go into the Roche. It's going to melt now, as it is an Ursa. And you do have the Tide that can tank up, but there's a smoke play here.
Arrow. Gonna land on the Keeper of the Light, but the stun is about to wear off. Little Nick now with the Firefly. Gonna try and get some vision with the Flame Break, and it does connect on Fear, but Ryoya has killed off Foal. They've started the team fight. Raw is there on the Tiny with the Deathwood and Melodict on Ryoya. He should drop on the Tiny, but Tingle is gonna be chased down by Snaking, and he will also drop. Little Nick. Gonna come in onto Snaking. Flame Break there. It's not gonna be enough, however. He'll be alright. Roshan still just above half HP. It's going to be spotted out by Little Nick now. They know exactly how the health is going. Well, Sphere actually had to go for a bit of a reset. Could probably go back in now if he really wants to. But it looks like he's going to wait it out.
Another smoke out from the cut. They know they can keep fighting while Ravage is down.
They've gone to the bot lane, but nobody's around there. The Moonlight Shadow is going to sneak up from behind.
Fear?
He's going to be spotted, but he has Enrage up. He also has teammates nearby, and Snaking's actually going to run right into them. Pingu going to show himself now. He's just going to turn back around and run. Pingu being slowed up by the Ice Vortex, but is still going to be okay. Looks like they saw the Alchemist again, John. Scourge on the run. Will be alright this time. He does not get caught by Ryoya. Slowly but surely, Scourge has made his way to the top of the net worth board. But it looks like they are going to go back for that Roshan pit now. PentAce probably will not be contested whatsoever.
Yeah, they're trying to push on the bot tier 2 here from the cut. They are going to get that done, but they've got Hawks. They could have tried to TP. It gets taken out, though. Travel's play not going to be there for Little Nick.
Very, very nice. That'll be your Roshan going down. First one of the game. Of course, Aegis going to Fear. Also gives him enough gold to buy out his Blink Dagger now, so he can be much more aggressive with his team as they do start to smoke up. Looks like they're looking for a target in that mid lane, and Little Nick might be the unfortunate victim. Does reveal himself. Big wrap play. Little Nick now really revealing himself, trying to go for the power rune. He does BKB up. Lasso there, onto the high ground it is for Ryoya. He will burn slowly but surely. There will be a quick TP from Ryoya, and he is going to make it. Little Nick, meanwhile, will also make it out. So I guess everyone's happy.
Look at that. A regen rune as well for Ryoya. With it, he TPs in tier 1, gets a regen, is ready to go again. The cut, have to bail, and they do TP out. Oh,
Vol, triple leap away. Still wasn't enough for the TP out. Taken out by Ryoya. All things said and done, I mean, the cut, they're not out of this game yet. It looks pretty bad with a 1k advantage going to PentAce while you have an Alchemist. The Scourge is slowly but surely getting there.
Yeah, he's almost at that BKB. I think we have to see if Scourge will prioritize, say, the Ag Shard. We've seen that Dispel really enable the Alch to just stand in front and not care about, say, the Spirit Vessels coming through. They do Moonlight as well. But Snaking has Ravage if they force a big fight, so it could be a back and forth one for the cut.
They're holding the high ground for now. I mean, Moonlight was popped, but doesn't look like it's going to lead to much. They can see Snaking in the mid lane farming on the Tide, but he's not an easy target. In fact, he's going to run straight into that high ground. No fear in the world. keep taking farm away from the Alk.
It's a slow build-up, but it is there. The BKB's up and running in Scourge. They've got the Blink now on Lil Nick. With the BKB, this does lead to more opportunities if they do want to force a fight now.
These creeps being cleared out. The Hawk not going to survive either, it looks like, on the high ground. Snaking. Again, just so confident to jump into these Ancients. However, Lasso is there. They've caught out Siegfried, trying to get the Alk, or rather AA down ASAP. He still does get the Ice Blast off. Meanwhile, Ryoya also being a bit controlled here. Tingle has the Roar, but can't get it off in time. Now he does. Fear is ready to jump in and fight. They're still trying to get onto the Tiny. Looks like they might just get him. Acid Spray down, Ryoya trying to walk away, but does finally die. Now Scourge coming in onto Snaking. Ravage is up, but he is holding on and being very patient as Fear does kill off Tingle King on the Beastmaster. Scourge now on the run. There's your Ravage out. Death Ward not going to do enough, and Scourge is in big, big danger. Fear will chase him down and just take him out. Little Nick now just has to run along with Vol, even popping his own BKB as Vol. He will not have that luxury.
A loss so small, the world will hardly notice.
See just how patient Snaking is with that Ravage, not panicking whatsoever, waiting for that perfect moment. And Lil Nick, he used Firefly, he used BKB to get away from this Tidehunter, but he couldn't stop himself for going for the Arcane Rune. And Snaking will punish him, and he still didn't get the rune either.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for the cut, but PentAce do jump up. They did find some good pickoffs, especially on Ryoya, but that took all of their spells out to take that kill. The BKBs are great, but it doesn't stop Fear. So the physical damage output of the Ursa is now the next factor you have to worry about in these bigger fights. And PentAce, they still hold the Aegis for a bit longer. They are going to look for more. 40 seconds left in the Aegis.
Slowly but surely, getting that mid-tier 2 tower. Nice little objective taking. Moonlight Shadow has been popped. Here, not just the arrow, does land onto the Tide. They might just try and go for this kill. Snaking doesn't have the Ravage, but he's going to just try and run. And it looks like he's actually just going to be fine. They can't kill him.
Yeah, he is still way too tanky up front. He's rushing the Ags now as well on Snaking's end. So once you have the Ags upgrade on the Tide, you're going to have that Gush on the line. That's going to be easier to get some minus armor going to help Fear get his damage off. Aegis does expire in a timely manner, so they can sit back, maybe look for the next rush before forcing a fight out, if not for that next Ravage, and they can keep farming up. The Cut are going to use this time well. Scourge McDuck is saving for his Assault Cuirass, and once you do have that up, it could be harder.
Lasso, high ground, arrow, Firefly, everything being thrown to make sure Z-Freak dies. Vol, almost out of leap charges, only has one left and will commit it to go to the high ground himself. Fear. Oh, he was on the right track. He'll get back down. So you get an AA kill. Just costs you a lot of commitment, that's all.
Yeah, it's a lot of spells they have to try out to find it, but I think if you're the Cut right now, you're just happy. You find something, you pull back, you're buying space out for the Alchemist. The AC is going to help you up against that Ursa in terms of tanking through it, although...
Pingu, Raw, all of it being thrown out onto the Coddle, but Ravage is committed by Snaking. That'll mean that Moo will be able to survive another day as Snaking just tanks every bit of damage. He just keeps going onto this Witch Doctor. Now Ryoya in onto Scourge McDuck. He's going to try and fight back, but he has jumped in as well with the Blink and the Bash. Enraged just in time. Scourge still trying to run. Snaking is there, however, jumping right in with the Anchor Smash. And now the Avalanche to come in with the Spirit Vessel on Scourge. They get 2 kills. Vol's still trying to get away. The Tree Toss landing, and Snaking is just swimming his way over with the backstroke. Arrow.
Oh, yes.
Not gonna land. They'll let the Mirana go.
And they found the Alchemist. That's the big one they want every single time these fights break out. Scourge McDuck has to expend a BKB charge, so he's down to 8 seconds now as well. And it's not going to be that long-lived by the time he has his AC up. Have to be cautious about those kinds of fights. They underestimate the turnaround potential there of PentAce. And when you don't kill the Coddle, Mu just calls in Fear, and suddenly the cavalry is there to run down.
Dire's top tower is under
27 minutes in now. 6k net worth lead remaining for PentAce. Lil Nick spots out Ryoya. Their triangle, however, Snaking is again being very aggressive, but Ryoya apparently just blows up Vol. And Pingu also goes down thanks to Fear.
Cubs are orphans now.
There goes a courier from Lil Nick, just losing everything. And Avalanche out onto Tingle King, cancelling the TP, means the Beastmaster's gone. My goodness.
Yeah. It's falling apart one by one there for the cut. They just bleed out heroes that ideally you wouldn't. PentAce can maybe look for the high ground now. They do not have Ravage yet, but it should be up by the time the respawns line up. So it should be a safe bet. And Fear does get started. Tier 3 mid not going to last for too long. This is the only lane they can take, though, as the outer towers are still standing. So they're going to have to be quick in this one and just head out once the respawns are up.
I don't know if they even care about the respawns of the cut right now, John. Every team fight's just gone their way. I mean, there's tier 2s anyway, so they can't do much after this Rax. They'll stick around for the Rax. Snaking will just get the range Rax done himself.
Dire's middle barracks.
And I guess now you just wait for the next Roshan, which is up in 45 seconds.
Yeah, not too long for that one. Still a smoke out here from the side of PentAce. They know Scourge is down bot. Does have a TP, but they want to find that Alchemist if they can. Oh, he's sure.
Ryoya sees him. Scourge really regrets going for that last wave. He'll pop the BKB and just TP right out, but the bash! Oh, Fear, very confident with his basher. Does landed on the first hit, basically, and Scourge, was that, what second charge was that? 8-second charge. Still gonna feel bad.
Yeah. Not a good feeling. Like, he always has to pop it. The basher is just causing issues now, and they might lose more.
Yeah, Lil Nick trying to play with fire. Does get the lasso, but where's your backup damage? There's your Ravage Snaking, making sure there's nothing. An Avalanche toss onto Ryoya with a double kill, and now Vol using all his leap charges to get out. Tingle King decides he's going to kill off Z-Freak, but it probably will cost him his own life. Sphere will jump in with a godlike spree now on the Ursa. And there's a Roshan up. He's going to rush for it.
Beautifully timed. And that's the timing they need. Second Roche, Aegis Cheese, not going to last for too long. Up against an Ursa that's this farmed up. Fear has overtaken Scourge McDuckin farm. And it's just not lining up for the cut. They tried to buy space for the Alk. The space does not pay off. Ryoya doesn't see Vol. But still issues. Roche goes down. The cut, they need to find angles. They need to get the lasso off. It's just that who do you go for? They've been going, the only kills they've been finding are the supports. Maybe you catch out Ryoya, but he's not a big factor in these fights anymore. It's really all about Fear and about Snaking, getting in with a Ravage, and they've already got the Ags up on Snaking as well, so even more minus armor coming through here for the Tide, and the Abyssal's done on Fear. So he has that instant lockdown as well on the Ursa. It just complicates matters for the cut.
It certainly does. Apparently, Snaking wants 2 Aghanim Scepters. Got another one queued up, just in case the first one doesn't work. Here.
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe he thinks he's playing Alchemist. You know, he wants to gift the Ags. But you're not
May
the
as well
Alchemist.
be. He's just as farmed as the Alchemist. Tier 2 tower, top lane, gonna go down a Fear. No contest for him. They are keeping the bottom lane split pushed out, so at least the cut can remain confident that their own bottom tier 2 tower is probably not going to die anytime soon. Lasso out, Avalanche toss onto Vol from Ryoya. Not quite enough to kill him off though when they do get moved first. Ryoya now, bit of an awkward situation. Will force the BKB out from Lil Nick. And looks like the rest are just going to try and run as Fear has joined in along with Snaking. A toss in. Fear should have the blink up any second. But do they have detection?
Radiant are scanning for
Well, Ryoya has a gem. Vol's gonna TP away, and they guess the wrong way. Nice TP from Vol. Can't say the same for Lil Nick, though. Does end up dying of snaking.
Yeah, it's a toughie. They find the Kotl. Again, they can only find the supports. The follow-up's just not there for the course just yet. The Cut do use that time to farm up on Scourge McDuck. And he does have the full AC up and running. So some more durability here for the Alchemist. The issue is fighting up against that Ursa. They don't have a disarm. No Heaven's Halberd up yet.
Oh, Pingu.
You will need that to hold back.
Poor Pingu.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Gonna hide in the trees, TP away.
Oh,
They're just
wow.
diving tier 4s.
I mean, they can. They don't have a worry in the world. Mid-wave is going to be shoved in, so the towers are going to be exposed.
He's getting recalled.
Fear
It's
being
Scourge
called?
Duck. Scourge, BKB's up. He can't TP away from
Oh,
Fear.
no.
And the Chemical Rage, it's really not doing anything. It does nothing.
Consider yourself lucky.
Back towards the Dire base, Snaking has been Melodicted up. They might be able to get enough damage this time, but he's just so tanky.
Yeah,
It
it's
just-
a
they just
hard
do
gear to
nothing.
rip through. Even with the Maledict, right, that can't be dispelled, but they just don't have the physical damage to deal with him.
They're gonna try again, but his team is almost there to back him up now. With this constant chakra magic coming in from Mu, he just never runs out of mana either. Arrow, gonna land on Fear. Avalanche does not connect from Ryoya. Now they jump in. Lasso is out. They've caught the Tiny, but the Glimmer Cape is protecting him from a lot of damage. And now the Ravage in from Snaking. Landing on 4. Tingle's trying to run. Bo and Pingu, they're coming in with the buybacks. Can they at least kill this Tide? He has a cheese, John. They can't kill him. They can't kill him. Fear gonna jump right back in with his own Aegis. They do stun them up. There's your cheese out from our Tide. Fear will lose the Aegis, but it doesn't matter. It was about to be claimed back anyway. And it's just right back into the team fight after Scourge. No diving fountain though, of course. Lil Nick gonna go back in with the sticky napalm. Unstable concoction there onto the Tide. Trying to kill off Fear on this Ursa, but he gets bashed up on the Bat Rider. Now the Avalanche toss is there. Maybe Fear dies. There is one bright side to all this, but that is pretty much all they've got. Scourge and Duck also going to go down without buyback on the Alchemist. And they just keep tossing more in. They've had enough. They'll call the GG. Ice Blast. Beautifully placed there from Z-Freak. A 2-0 victory now for PentAce, looking very good.
Yeah, they play spectacularly well here in game number 2 as well. The Cut, they kind of fixed their drafting issues in game 1, but they still had a lot of issues in execution. Lil Nick, we didn't expect the Batrider to lose against Tiny, but that's what ended up happening in that laning phase, and Ryoya just somehow pulls ahead despite that wonky matchup. And it just shows you perhaps the difference between those upper div and lower div teams. Hopefully enough the Cut learns from that experience. PentAce just continuing on, climbing up the groups with a nice series win. The Cut will have to look elsewhere and should aim to improve a bit. That was a taste of what's to come, I suppose. And if that is indicative of the next season, certainly a lot of room of improvement there for the Cut.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point, right? Doing this BTS Pro Series is just to get in there and get a bit of experience, get a bit of practice going before Season 2 of the DPC does begin. I'm sure the Cut will improve as time goes on and get adjusted to the upper division teams. Still with that, John, of course, a reminder to all the viewers, our third series does end up in a forfeit from Black and Yellow, as they have forfeited out of the tournament, so Infinity will automatically get a 2-0 victory. And we are going to move on to Latam Defenders up against Arkosh, which is our final series of the night. The only thing is, John, you were talking earlier about how they might need a longer break because Arkosh was not ready. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure exactly how long the break's going to be, so I'm not going to promise you guys a time yet. But keep an eye out on the chat and on the stream, and I'll update the time for you guys as soon as I know. And we'll see when Greg is going to be ready with his team to start playing. Up till then, though, it is MLP and JohnxFire. We're back very soon, hopefully, for our final series.